Hello everyone, KingslayerKoshy, welcome back to Dust. In the last part, we finished out the Sorrowing Caverns, and now we're gonna finish out the Sorrowing Meadows. At this point in time, now when I'm recording, I'll have finished up Ratchet and Clank finally, so as soon as Matt finishes out all the footage, my friend Matt finished out all the footage, and we all meet again, I can finally have all the footage up, so now I have all the parts ready for Ratchet and Clank, so look forward to a future Let's Play. At least for the 3-player LPs anyway. What it is yet, we'll leave it up in the air for right now. It's most likely leaning towards Mega Man X2 from the looks of it, but things can change. After all, I always seem to change whatever my LP is whenever I say I'm going to do one LP, then I completely flip the coin and do something else. Anyways, we're just fighting through Sorrowing Meadows again, which isn't much really spectacular. I missed this chest apparently, which seemed pretty obvious to get. I guess I didn't really bother getting a lot of these chests only because I knew I was going to be backtracking around here. But this area is actually interesting in the sense that it's one of 3 areas in the game that has this interesting, let's just say, there's a little bit more to this map than it would lead you to expect. In other words, this is one of the few maps in the game that has a secret area. And I guess I might as well talk about it now, considering the fact that we're probably not going to get to that point in a while. And that's, this map contained, if you remembered, we had a message earlier that talked about kneeling before a grave with a rose in front of it. Now, earlier on, there was a grave with a rose in front of it that we could have knelt in front of. I would explain more, but I think I'll explain it more in detail when we actually get to it. Because it's one of these special areas of the game. I say it like that because it's very well hidden, actually, and it's one of the few areas that I actually failed to find when I first played through the game when I was trying to 100% the entire map the first time. So that's why I put a lot of emphasis on it. Also, I found out that lightning is actually pretty effective for killing a lot of killing stupid boss or mantis. And I'm being horribly reckless, although at this point I don't really care about using lightning. I'm pretty much taking the form of God. I've actually started to appreciate lightning a little bit more now finally, which is kind of a relief to know that this was actually kind of useful, but I have footage for my solo LP ready, and that will come in momentarily. But in the meantime, for right now, footage will be coming in for this game, and parts will start coming in soon for the remainder of Ratchet and Clank, and also a replay I did of Mega Man 1, because, in my opinion, the original LP of Mega Man 1 was ass. And I felt like I did a terrible job with it. I might actually consider doing a replay of God War with the guys later down the road. I might talk to them about that. Probably not in God mode. I'll keep the crappy looking... Was it my half-assed recording setup for God of War and just leave it, Well, basically, I'll leave my first run when I did it on the camera and leave that there because that was one of my greatest achievements because it was the first time I ever did actually beat the game in God mode. So it's nice to have kind of a memory of that. I also need to consider... Yeah, this store is one of... Yeah, but take this path all the way up in the top left, and it'll actually lead you to this weird room that you can keep traveling through. And it doesn't seem like you're going anywhere until you reach the end. Make sure you have to double jump, head up here, and open the gate. Open the door, and you unlock a character from a very strange game that I have no idea what it's from. But it's another indie cameo. I don't know what that indie cameo is from. I might just stop to take a look at it at some point. I might take a look at it at some point later and comment on it later. But a good chunk of these cameos, like the Super Meat Boy cameo, Hyperduck Studios cameo as well. Most of them are. There's a good chunk of them that are pretty noteworthy, and there's a bunch of obscure ones, probably from some Humble Hearts games. If I had to choose it, if I had to take a guess from anything. But we're coming pretty close to the end, if not the end of this game. Because after this cleanup, like I said, it's pretty much downhill. And there's apparently still treasure here. Probably most likely a key I can't get. I think it is a key. Oh no, I think I know what it is. I think it's I have to fall down the pit there. And yeah, Kirby keys. Feels weird recording over this for a period of time, so I still have to figure out other things, other stuff. So I guess one thing that I guess I can praise indie games for, obviously, is the lack of the overabundance of DLC to kind of patch the game and also kind of give content to the game. And I've never been a fan of DLC. I discussed this with the guys when I was doing my Ratchet and Clank run through with them. Actually, no, not Ratchet and Clank. I was doing, Joe was doing the Kingdom Hearts, and I kind of brought this up because of all the compilations that freaking Kingdom Hearts has and all the games. And it got me thinking about some discussion for DLC, which is we all hate. I just gonna say it straight. DLC is a real. Mostly because most games that utilize it usually end up being half-assed games anyway, so it kind of brings up the question is, why the hell should I pay? The sad thing is, most of those half-assed games end up being like $60, the AAA titles, quote-unquote, from big companies. Here I am exploring, and if I'm right, am I actually looking for... Oh no, there's a treasure at the top left corner. I thought I was actually looking for something else. I might actually cut a little bit of footage here at some point, depending on how the footage is laid out, but... in the top left, you want to start heading to the top, and then you want to go right between the intersection on the point of the map. So basically, next to where the merchant, basically the fork between the road where the merchant and the path leads to the right, you want to continue going to the right. Because that'll lead you to the secret area of this level, or area. Yeah, I'm heading back in here because I have a treasure I couldn't get because I think I need a double jump for it. Yep. Just double jump, get a key, and that'll be all. As you can see, it says 97% of the map is found, 92% of the treasures are found. I think I'm trying to get myself to move the map. There we go. If you look around the map, it doesn't look like there's anywhere else to go because all the corners have pretty much been closed off. The path towards the trial contains the last bit of area that we haven't explored and the last treasure that we need to get. And I might be taking with the rest of the video and I might have an abrupt cut here, depending on how things turn out in terms of the video. So I might just I might take a look at the footage a little bit before I keep narrating over this. But I think I'm gonna keep it in for now because there's still one treasure that I haven't gotten yet that we can still get. That's not being hidden away. So head up. Most of these treasures though are pretty much meaningless at the same time because I already have the Sorrowing augment and I could just literally go to the Everdon Basin and finish out the Everdon Basin once and for all and just end the game there, but I want to just at least get everything in this game. I would have done it on a harder difficulty, but my lazy, but I was too lazy to. I kind of just followed I guess making progress. When I found out, I think I already. But anyways, back on the DLC rant that I was gonna go talk about. A lot of big companies tend to abuse DLC a lot, especially for games that are like $60, and they end up being worth less than that because of the quality, because there's like barely any content. Which then begs the question of, DLC, has it gone too far for the thing, which honestly I believe it has. Because now it's almost kind of like an excuse at some point now, because now they can make strict deadlines, now the companies make strict deadlines, and if it's like the game hasn't been broken, it's like that's no big deal, we can probably make a patch to like fix the game, and it's annoying because it's just something that a lot of companies apparently abuse. And I'm just trying to think, it's just... The reason I bring up Kingdom Hearts is because Kingdom Hearts doesn't have DLC, but it does a lot of compilations. And then of course there's like the final mixes and the HD collections that have like compilations of all the games. Each game has extra content built in, because obviously it's the original game came out and then this compilation comes out later with more content, and compilation of a lot of games from different systems. So in a way it's a good thing, but in a way it's also you can kind of say that this is a lot of people. Although, personally, in my opinion, I
Thank you for all of your help.
Job of this.
Don't worry about me. I'll stay here by my husband's side.
I'm bringing up Kingdom Hearts in specific because, personally, I think it's a good way to deal with this sort of thing if you want to provide extra content to the games. And it just sort of brings up the idea of, would you rather bring up a game that's $60, which doesn't have any content in, then because, well, let me rephrase that because I'm starting to start rambling on a little bit. But basically, DLC comes in, and it ends up being, and I guess it's also going for microtransactions as well, but they just end up becoming a lot more expensive than any $60 game, and even $60 games aren't even worth the price tag. Just a little depressing, but honestly, it's just something that companies do because of the way how game development economy is, because it's a high supply, low demand sort of deal. I play indie games because indie games tend to end up being more content filled, and what you see is what you get usually. I mean, the only game that I've seen so far that has DLC in it is Shovel Knight, and that, even then, I believe it's free DLC from what I've heard, at least from my friends anyway. I might even check it out. It's either that or it's really cheap because it's the only DLC in comparison, and it's an entire playthrough, so the price tag is there for the content, which I guess is one of the big things about the DLC. DLC is always more expensive, and what you get tends to overall be not worth it. Well, anyways, that's kind of my whole 50 cents on this sort of deal, because I just needed to get out of my system, because it was a rant I managed to kind of bring in to Kingdom Hearts, because all the compilations they have, which I will admit they do a pretty good job with them, because they add extra content. It's a combination of games from all different systems in one disc. So I feel like that's something good they do. That they do take advantage of. I might talk more about it later on. Anyways, yeah, this is close to the end of the part, so the next part, I think I'm probably gonna find that secret area, so I might need to look at the footage. There'll probably most likely be a cut somewhere in the mix, but until then, I'll see you guys next time.